So, Raph, a couple of stories in the news today. I mean, the big one this morning, I don't know if you want to call it a bombshell or not, but when a minister leaves the leaves the CAC over, literally, and that's what this is about, their new bill with respect to doctors, that's a big story. So we're talking, of course, in this case, about Lionel Carmant. So let's start with that.
Well, Carmant has resigned as minister, and also he's going to be sitting at the National Assembly as an independent from now on. So he announced it today. Linked it also admitted that it was also related to the fact that the CQ government adopted, as we know, last weekend, Bill 2, forcing new work conditions on the doctors. At the same time, earlier this morning, his daughter, who's also a doctor, published an open letter in some media criticizing the government's decisions, saying if the government doesn't let her practice freely, she will have to leave and practice in another province. So Carmant said that he is choosing his family rather than his political duty towards his party. Legault was present. That was really unusual when you have someone resigning from your government to have the premier standing by your side and
saying what a great guy he was.
Saying what a great guy, but they're close friends. They've known each other for many years. They founded the CQ together. They were neighbors back in the days, a long time ago in Outremont. So they've known each other. Okay. They have a relationship that goes beyond politics, and I think their friendship might remain from what we've seen today at the National Assembly. So it's a divorce, but it's a divorce that's going smoothly, I would say, between Lionel Carmant and François Legault here.
So let me ask a dumb question, because I'm not sure how this works. He could have simply said, Lionel Carmant, you know what, I can't continue to do my duties. He's Minister of Social Services, given what you've now done, but still continue to sit as a CAC member. Why do you choose to sit as an independent?
Probably because he doesn't want to be involved in this party anymore, but probably because he's disgusted by what he's a doctor himself. His wife is a doctor. As I mentioned, his daughter is a doctor. So the whole family probably pressured him as well, saying, you are part of this. You are part of this government that voted. He was absent. He was not present at the National Assembly last weekend during the vote, obviously because he did not support his party's decision. But François Legault said today during the press conference that former Minister Carmant, Dr. Carmant now, was present during the meetings of his cabinet when they were discussing the new bill, Bill 2. But still, I mean, it's also, we, in our system, in our parliamentary system, there's something that's called ministerial responsibility. You have, when the decision is being taken around the table of cabinet, you can voice your opinion. But once the decision is made, you have to abide by it and be faithful to your party. Now, obviously, Minister Carmant, or Mr. Carmant here, was no longer able to abide by this and go with the party line.
So you stand up for your principles, and eventually, as you said, his run deep, because not just him, his daughter, his wife, etc. I get that. Do you imagine that any other members of the CAC will do the same?
We'll have to wait and see, but this is certainly going not in the right direction for François Legault, because now we have 4 former MNAs from the CQ that are sitting as independents, and 2 of them who also recently fled the party. So Pierre Dufour from Abitibi, Maïté Blanchette-Vézina, you add on top of that Yuri Chassin. All 3 of them a few days ago announced that they were going to work together. So they have this kind of alliance of independent MNAs right now, former CQ MNAs, who are working together to challenge the government in the National Assembly. We'll have to wait and see if Carmant is going to join them within this alliance. But this is certainly going to be of interest for other MNAs from the CQ who are probably also thinking about leaving the party and putting pressure on François Legault so that he resigns as premier and lets his party choose a new leader.
I'm asking that question because I can't not imagine that, of the 80-some-odd members of the CAC, someone's going to go see a doctor and they're going to get an earful from their doctor when they go see him or her, right? And you imagine that's probably going to happen at some point. And at that point, I don't know, do you take it seriously enough when your own personal physician is telling you this is bad and I voted for you and you want to stand up and say something? We'll see how many decide to do this. Maybe none.
There's Bill 2, there's the doctors, that's one thing, but then there's also Legault as a whole. Legault being fatigued after 7 years in power. So there's also MNAs who are looking at the next election coming up in less than 12 months.
Thinking about their future.
They're thinking about their future, worried about losing their job in the next election. And that adds up also to the fact that some of them might be tempted eventually to speak up and and leave the party as well to put pressure on Legault.
Let's move from provincial to municipal politics. We have a brand new poll out today, a Palace data poll that shows that Soraya Martinez-Ferreira has widened her lead. And on the other end, it shows that the number of undecideds, even though the number has gone down, and it's gone down a couple of times now in the last couple of weeks, it's still relatively high at 29%. So what's your take on that?
Well, obviously, those undecided will just stay home. They're not going to go vote. As we know, we might expect also with the strike that's starting tomorrow, with the STM strike that's going to paralyze public transit for the next month, probably even less people than last election will go out to the polls. So a lot of people will stay home and will just not go and vote. So it's going to be a big challenge also for parties to get their vote out. But here we see Soraya Martinez-Ferreira taking a very strong lead towards the end of the campaign, 15% ahead of Luc Rabouin and Projet Montréal. But the main surprise to me, Aaron, was to see Gilbert Thibodeau and Action Montréal, a party we haven't heard much during this campaign. But he's the street guy, you know. They have a grassroots campaign, very strong on social media, not a lot in traditional media, but Gilbert Thibodeau, he's now 11%, 5 points ahead of Craig Sauvé and Transition Montréal. So this is a party that's towards more the right side of the political spectrum. They've had some interesting proposals, like unusual proposals.
That's a good word. Interesting, yeah. Okay.
I should say unusual proposals, like reopening the ski center that was on Mount Royal until 1979. So that's unusual. We did not expect that. Projet Montréal had that idea under Richard Bergeron many years ago. Projet Montréal pushed for that.
Richard Bergeron also pushed for a tram down Notre Dame. You know, so we've had a few ideas come and go, I think, over the years. This is one of the more...
Pink Line. The Pink Line is one of those ideas like Projet Montréal came up with as well.
True.
That didn't work out, but still, I would say interesting as a skier myself. I find this particular idea is interesting, but apart from that, I think many Montrealers are looking for alternatives right now. What we have so far is alternative to the center, to the left a lot, but not a lot to the right. So it shows to me that Action Montréal and Gilbert Thibodeau are filling a gap here, are filling a void where Montrealers would like to hear more ideas from the center-right side of the political spectrum.
Who does that work against then? Against Projet, against Ensemble, who his I would say popularity, if you will.
Very good question. I would say probably more Ensemble Montréal, because Ensemble is the farthest right, I would say, between quotation marks here, of course, the farthest to the center compared to Projet Montréal. So if you're usually a conservative, you're voting for the party that will beat the party that's to the left, you know. So people would probably be choosing Ensemble Montréal here and Soraya Martinez-Ferreira. But some of them obviously are not satisfied with her positions and are looking for an alternative even further right, and they're looking towards Gilbert Thibodeau and Action Montréal. So interesting here to see at the very end of the campaign his party picking up some momentum in the polls. We'll see how it translates in the results on Sunday evening, but that's very interesting to follow.
So I had a chance to speak to Gilbert Thibodeau a couple of times. We say in English, he shoots from the hip. In other words, there's not a lot of refinement in what he says. He's going into City Hall. He wants to see the books. He wants to, like, really old school. And I wonder if that plays much better. And I think it might, by virtue of the fact he doesn't do a lot of English. I know Elias has had him on. I've had him on. So maybe that plays on the French side. I don't think that necessarily plays on the English side. And there is a divide in this poll linguistically as well. We talked about this earlier on the show between Francophones and Anglophones, and that comes into play as well. That benefits, I guess, Soraya.
That certainly benefits
I called her Soraya. Soraya.
That certainly benefits her for sure, because these are voters who usually vote Liberal at the federal stage. They used to vote for Denis Coderre when he ran for the last two elections. And this is the same party. Ensemble Montréal, let's not forget, used to be called Équipe Denis Coderre pour Montréal. So this is basically the same party with a lot of people who were there under Coderre who are still there, some elected officials. So this party remains the strongest amongst Anglophones, and that is certainly going to continue. And Anglophones usually go to the polls. They vote. So it's a good thing certainly for Ensemble Montréal right now.
You know, I'm wondering if the idea of a gazebo on Mount Royal comes up again. Do you think any of these parties votes for that, or because, no?
So many things to do with Mount Royal, but I would do this key first.
You really? I mean, when he first said that, I thought he was kidding. He said, it's too expensive to go up north all the time to go skiing. Why don't we go back to Mount Royal?
And you know what? I like this because it's true for a lot of Montrealers, especially working classes.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money.
They can't afford to go to Mont Tremblant for a weekend, rent a condo there, pay for your tickets, pay for your rentals. I mean, this is a very good idea. We have a beautiful winter in Montreal. Let's make the most of it and let's make it as much as accessible as possible.
I'm not much of a skier. I just want to ask the question: if you were to ski on Mount Royal, how long would your run take? 15 seconds?
Oh, probably very short because I've been skiing since the age of 3, so I'm used to this. But to start, for people who have never been on skis before, this is a very good way to start and make it something for a lot of people.
We shall see. We're only a few days away. Election's on Sunday. Raphael, thank you. Appreciate you coming in.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.